Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, we are Sankhya Yoga. We are reading Shlok 39. O Parth Arjuna, this attitude of mind has been presented to you from the point of view of Gyan Yoga, which is the knowledge. Now, here from the same point of view of Karma Yoga, discipline of selfless action. Equipped with this state of mind, you will be able to completely shake off the shackles of karma. Currently, Arjun is completely distorted in chapter 1. He is saying he doesn't want to fight. He don't want to fight with his family members who he think they are his family members. So Arjun says they are my people on the other side. Krishna says if they are your people, then why are they on the other side? If they are your people, then why on the other side? It's that simple. So he's simply trying to make him understand there's no my people, his people, my family, their family. He's teaching him the Gyan, the ultimate knowledge, the Brahm Gyan, in various forms so that he is able to grasp, get clarity, and leave this attachment. This is pure attachment that he has to his relatives, being weak in moment of action. So now Krishna is saying this attitude of mind is presented to you by Gyan Yoga, which I gave you currently, that you are soul, you're not this body, you never die. And even if you die, even if there is rebirth and all, then also you should not cry, because anyway you kill them, they will be born again. So there's no point in crying in either point. So he said, now I have explained it to you from Gyan Yoga. Let me touch on Karma Yoga, which is selfless action. We think Karma Yoga is doing karmas. That's it. What Krishna says Karma Yoga is doing selfless actions, selfless karma. Karma is when you are doing any action from your whole body, your mind, yes, also your mind. Whatever thought you have for someone, intentions, feelings, thoughts, they are also part of karma. Please try to understand this very clearly. Once you understand the importance of your thoughts, importance of your life, importance of your feelings, intentions, and manifestation techniques, you will be very careful of what you think, of what you say about others. What you feel about others also comes back to you some way or the other. Whatever you throw in this universe, it comes back to you. Whatever. You see how you throw things in sea and it comes back, right? It's exactly the same. No matter what feelings, emotions, thoughts, anger, aggression, anything, action is way far behind. Very far behind, because the moment what is thought? Thought is a part of your energy. That's it. We are all energy beings. I hope you all understand that. We are all energy beings from our second, you know, kosh. From there, we are energy beings. Anything that you give energy to is transmitted. So you are transmitting whatever you're doing, in 24 hours, you are transmitting something. Aggression, insecurities, loneliness, sadness, unhappy, a lot of things you have inside of you. So you keep on transmitting them, and the moment you set this out, it comes back to you. That is how universe works, and this is how frequency and all these things are. So with the Gyan, this is karma. Please understand, this is karma. This is karma through mind, then karma through action, and then karma through how you talk. Three ways you make karmas: mind, talking, and actual action. The most karmas are made here and here, because I know nobody is going to go and actually physically hurt anyone or slap anyone. All of you are divine angels, so you won't do all these things, or even if you do, there must be some reason behind it. But So most of your karmas are made here and here. You say something wrong about someone or you do something wrong. So that's unnecessary information you're throwing out there. Unless it's the truth, don't talk. It's that simple. Unless you know it's absolutely a fact and a truth, do not talk. Don't say. Then you will see how many things you will stop saying. If you start following this rule for one day, just for 24 hours, try to apply this in your life. Whatever I will say has to be an absolute truth. I know it is a fact. For example, someone in our office comes and he looks very tired and is like, he's always tired. He's such a lazy man. Now, this is not a fact. Please try to understand. This is a judgment. You have judged another person based on their behavior that you saw that day, that he is a lazy person. You created a judgment sent in a universe. Karma is made here, right now. Okay? Now, you don't know the truth. Maybe that person is not lazy. He had a bad night, or his wife and his children was sick, so he was up in the ER all night. He was in the hospital, and then in morning he came and he was like this. You know, so instead of judging people, start being curious. Start being curious. You always be like this, then why are you behaving this way today? This is curiosity. Now, this is not the truth. So the moment you know what is truth and what is not, only truth you speak. Then you will see you have nothing to speak. Unnecessary things you have been saying all day, all night, for no reason. So that is also part of karma. But the karma yoga means selfless action. Whatever I am doing selflessly. Even if I'm talking, I'm doing for others. I'm thinking for others. I am doing some physical action for others with no self desire. I want nothing in return. That is karma yoga. Yoga means meeting oneself, inner self. So here, Arjun was afraid of the sin that would occur by waging the war. He was scared that he will be hurting his family members, so he will be making a sin, which they actually did later also. I think you all know, after all this Gita explained, everything shared, please try to understand how agyan, wrong knowledge, never leaves us. After listening to this Gita 18 chapters, Arjun was told that killing these people is the right thing to do from the god himself. Yet, after finishing the Kurukshetra war, they went and looking for Lord Shiva to ask for forgiveness. Do you understand? Imagine at that moment, Krishna must be thinking, what was the point of explaining everything when they have to do this again? That's why Lord Shiva probably also hid somewhere he didn't want to meet. Why would he you listen to the Gita from Krishna, he's saying this is the right thing to do, and then you want regret. You kill so many people, you never came for regret in your whole life, but doing a war you come and for regret. Why? That means agyan never leaves you. It's so hard. Okay, so Arjun was afraid that he is making a sin by doing a war. But Lord Krishna says that sin doesn't occur by waging a war if it's your duty. If it is your duty, how is this becoming your sin? If someone soldier on the battlefield, he has to kill people. He has to kill people for his country. It's not a sin to do that, and he is willing to die for his country also. Do you know people who die for their country, they become very big saints in future? Because that kind of sacrifice, leaving your family members, leaving your own life, everything, that is a very big sacrifice. Either they become very rich or they become like this. Because you are willing to sacrifice everything for something else. That kind of samarpan bhav they have. So Lord Krishna says the sin is not, it's not a sin if you're doing if doing your duty. It actually is your attachment. So if you attain equanimity, no sin will occur. Now, equanimity means that when you are separating yourself from your body, detachment from your body, he explains this. He explains, he who gets established in equanimity automatically, because it is the attachment to the body which is obstacle in the way. Attachment to this body is the only reason you are here, stuck in this loop. You are so attached to this. It is a temporary thing given to you for small period of time, 80 years, 90 years if you're good karmas. Otherwise 10, 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many years of everyone is left. You already know you're going to die. Everybody has to die. People are making this longevity things, bands, longevity, increasing long health life of human beings. I'm sure you can do this. Transferring brain and consciousness into something else. Like all of this is possible. And maybe one day it will be. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows anything. But point being, we are so afraid of death that we want to find reasons to cheat it. You all know nobody worships Brahma, right? Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. We have three figures: creator, maintainer, destroyer, right? Exactly. Now you are already born, so no need to worship the person who created you, right? Because you're already born. Now you don't need him. So forget. Now Vishnu, because you need money, you need luxury, so Lakshmi is there with Vishnu. So you pray him. So so you have a maintained life. So you have Krishna, Vishnu figures, Ram, and all this. So you pray them. But you don't want to die. So who do you pray the most? Lord Shiva. Mahamrityunjay mantra, Sanjeevani Mahamrityunjay mantra, Markande mantra, because nobody wants to die. So everyone worship Lord Shiva. Not a single person. I mean, there's Vishnu, there's this, but everyone worships Lord Shiva. Everywhere there is mandirs of shivling everywhere. The most prayed deity, because everybody's scared to lose their identity. You don't want to die. So scared you are. It's not the death that scares you, to be honest. It is losing yourself that scares you. You're so attached to this body. This body you are attached to, you don't want to leave it. But when the time comes, either you leave it yourself or it will be snatched away. Please try to understand. Your time will come, things will happen. Everybody has to leave this world. Nobody here is permanent. This laptop maybe is permanent here, you know. This property that I am sitting in is permanent. It will remain after, even if I'm gone. Companies, organizations, all these things will remain, but the people who own them, they won't be here. Even God himself, avatars didn't stay here. They also had to pass on. Small time, limited. And that is the value of life. If life is infinite, there's no, I mean, you will not feel excitement. Every day is going to repeat something. We age, we old, things are different. It's something salty, something spicy, something, sometimes things are changing, something sadness, happiness. That is what makes it exciting. One day you have to leave, that is what makes it exciting. If it's not there, what you will do here all your life? What will you do here? The excitement part is this, that everything is changing. We are so attached here. This is the only thing he's saying. Attachment to the body, once removed, equanimity comes automatically. Equanimity means treating everyone equal, all one. Today I realize we always say you are special, you are special. Actually, everybody is ordinary. Being ordinary is the biggest thing. I myself think I'm a very ordinary person. There's no need. Being special is what the ego creates, and being ordinary is what means zero. We are zero. So he's saying equanimity comes when you're detached from this body, and that is what we all want to be eventually. Now, going to the next verse, Krishna is saying, in this path of selfless action, there is neither loss of effort nor any adverse result. We feel why our actions are getting wasted. Most of the times we feel this, I'm doing something, but result is not coming. Many times, we are putting effort on so many things, we are keep on putting efforts, but the result doesn't come. So we think I'm doing everything I can, but maybe God doesn't want to give me anything. To be honest, God has no time for all these things. You know, for you, every small in bits and pieces. He's quite busy. Okay, this is this is also your ego cheating it, that oh, God has no time for me. Take responsibility of your own actions. Take responsibility of your life. You create your destiny. You are the reason why your life is like this. And you are the only one who can change it. Don't wait for someone else to come and magically swirl and do something for you. It won't happen like that. So, path of selfless action, he's saying, in the Karma Yoga, anything you do will never go wasted. So, whenever you're doing karmas, we think we are putting efforts. No, you are putting money in the bank account. It's like that. You're putting money in the bank account. It cashes in when there's the right time. You just don't know the right time. That's why we keep saying, oh, I don't know, result is coming or not, result is coming or not. It is coming. You just have to be patient. Yesterday, I told in the Hindi session, mango tree takes 5 years, 5 years to give fruit. You cannot water it 3 times a day, so it will give fruit faster. Same is the case with us. If something takes 3 years, it will take 3 years. You cannot do PhD, or you cannot learn MBBS, or you cannot be a dental surgeon in 2 years. Right? You have to give it time. Have patience. So, no loss of effort. This is such a big thing. There is no loss. I tell you, in this world, there is no right, there is no wrong. You should get shocked, first of all. How is that possible? Everything is happening for the good. Everything. You just don't know the reason behind it. That's all. Yesterday, I gave the example of AI context. AI needs context, right? Similarly, you also need context of this universe. This is context. How universe works, how laws works. Once you know the context, you can do anything. So even a little practice of this discipline protects one from great danger of life, of death and birth. The only trap that everybody puts you in is that people treat this as fear. Now it has become business. The business is, if you don't donate 10,000 rupees here, you will not get good karmas. This is how, big organizations are cheating you. It doesn't work like that. They are putting this wrong notions in your mind. If you don't donate money here, you will never have a baby in your life. If you don't do this, you will have this. This is all wrong. This has become business of fear now, and I want you all to get out of it. That's why I tell you, I only give right knowledge to everyone. No, nowhere one should be scared. On this path, you have to become free from everything, your own fears, own desires, own belief system. The bandhan is your belief system, the attachment is your own belief system. You believe saints should look like this, so you only listen to saints who look like that. You believe good people look like this, bad people look like that, so you, when you see someone, you judge the book by its cover. Your belief system is wrong. When I said in the beginning, truth, only catch the truth, say the truth, hear the truth, only see the truth. That's it. If it's not true, if it's not a fact, if you have not experienced it, don't believe it. That is Vivek. If it's not a fact, if you have not seen it, don't believe it. Even if you don't believe in karma, don't believe it. Do the best you can. So, Krishna is explaining how equanimity can be defined. He's saying when a person is in oneness, equanimity means oneness. He sees everyone as one and no difference. He doesn't see this face. Changing faces doesn't affect him. Names and identity don't bother to him. He sees it as universal oneness. For him, a man shakes off the shackles of karma. He gets out of karmic cycle. The one who sees oneness. There is no loss of effort. There is no adverse result of their effort. No return of the karma. Even a little practice of this discipline protects one from great danger of birth and death. He's saying even a little bit of practice. When you see someone, God, who do you have to see as God? The person who is worst to you. It's very easy to see God in your children because you love them. Okay, they are very dear to you, so you are very attached to them. It's very easy to see. Whom do you have to see God in? Your enemies. Who is your worst enemy? Person you don't like. You have to see him, that he is a messenger of God. He has come to cut this karma out of my life. When you see that way, then it's equanimity. You don't have hatred against someone. You don't feel negative emotions. It does sound easy. I do say that a lot, but it's so hard in application. It's very hard. When reality comes, when a person's opposite nature, whom you don't like, comes in front of you, so many things happen. In that moment, what I want you to do is, I want you to watch yourself. When a person you don't like is standing in front of you, watch yourself. What is happening? Your body is burning, you're feeling angry, thoughts are spiraling inside of you. What is happening? What kind of emotion you're feeling? Are you feeling sweaty? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling shivering? Experience everything in that moment. Once you start doing it, then I will tell you what difference does this make. Okay, then you will understand why this is important. So moving on to our next shlok. O joy of Kurus, in this blessed path, the intellect is determinate and concentrated, whereas the intellect of the undecided is scattered in many directions and is endlessly diverse. So, this is what Vivek is talking about. When you have a single pointed intellect, he's talking about Buddhi Yoga. We are on Buddhi Yoga today. From Sankhya Yoga to Karam Yoga, then Karam Yoga to Sakhe to Gyan, Gyan to Karam, Karam to Buddhi Yoga. So he's explaining, Krishna is explaining all of them in one chapter. In Buddhi Yoga, he's saying those who have this blessed path, those who are walking on this yogic path, they have blessed with one pointedness mind, you means focus mind, concentrated mind, and they have ability to determine between good and bad. Vivek is available for them. And for those who are not, who are in the universe, when they are, why Vivek doesn't come in the universe when you are in sansari things is because there you are so diverted. Like for example, nowadays on phone with Chat GPT, with Claude, you are constantly doing something. This is very practical. I want you to take 1 week of AI cleansing. Why I say this is it's making you weak. Currently, if you go and tell someone that I am thinking this, he or she will say, you are wrong, you don't make sense. Okay? That's how normal people react. Correct? They say, you are wrong, you don't make sense. But how AI says is, wow, what a wonderful idea. You have such brains. Your life is so amazing. This is how AI responds and then says, let me correct one thing here. So he is making you weak. You are seeking validation from AI. It's a very common thing. Everybody is doing it. All the young generation is doing it. Because in real life, everybody will not have infinite patience to listen to your nonsense. AI has infinite patience. You can ask it million questions and he will keep answering to you. It's making you weak. You need validation from AI. You will feel so nice. So at least someone is hearing me. This is weakness. And if in reality someone knows this weakness of yours, they keep praising you and they can get you to do anything. If I keep praising you, I can get $1 million from you in my account, you know? You're such a divine angel. You guys are so amazing. You have achieved enlightenment. You have realized everything. The path that you are walking on, nobody has walked before. If I keep talking like this, you will say, oh, Prakriti Ma, only you know me. You know me, that's it. Nobody realized. This is how you will say. This is weakness. And 99% people out there use this for you. They are using these words to trap you, and you get trapped because you want someone who is hearing you, who is seeing you, who is acknowledging you, who is loving you. That's how weakness we are. So if you all are, if you want Vivek, he's saying the intellect of the undecided, the people who are in this universe, they are undecided, right? They won't have this path. They won't have Vivek, no right and wrong, because they are governed by their senses, governed by the worldly pleasures. Arjuna, those who are obsessed by desires, who look upon heaven as a supreme goal and argue that there is nothing beyond heaven and pleasures, and who are devoted to the letter of Vedas, are unwise. My dear angels, Veda, Purana, all these things, what he's saying, Krishna, he's saying for those who are obsessed by desires, those who look as heaven as a supreme goal, which we say we swarg jayenge, you know, we are working, doing good karmas to go to heaven. They argue that there's nothing beyond heaven and pleasures, and they are devoted to the letter of Vedas. Letter of Vedas means they are not understanding the gist of the Vedas, they are catching the words. Very important for us to understand this. You are not listening to Vedas as they were said. You are just, you're not catching the essence, you're just catching the words. Those people are unwise. They are unwise. They make this type of flowery speeches recommending many acts of various kinds for the attainment of pleasure and prosperity. Flowery speeches. And then they are stuck in rebirth as their fruit. This is exact spiritual trap. You have been in the spiritual traps many years, many births also. I don't know. It's not easy to come to this path also. So you got stuck with some guru who told you, okay, Vedas, follow this in Vedas, keep doing this, and you will get it. But you never got it because nature never changed, karmas never stop making. So how will you get it? You never realize you're not this body. I'm not this body. That is the gyan. Unless realize this, that I'm already enlightened. There's nothing, no such thing as enlightenment. There is no such thing as moksha. You are already enlightened. You just forgot it. That's it. If my name is Prakriti and I keep asking you, I am doing tapasya to remember my name, what would you say? You would say, I am stupid. Right? That I will not eat 6 days, 7 nights until I remember my name, until I realize I am Prakriti. So that is stupidity. Same is the case. All these things that we do is stupidity. In moment, in 1 second, you can realize who you are. Only if you're ready to hear it. Only if you're ready to see who you are right now. That is the only problem. Right now, who you are not ready to listen. You think you are so and so person who has achieved so much. And if the reality is you are nothing, you cannot hear it. That is the only gap. This gap, to reduce, people do tapasya. To reduce this gap. This is also made by mind. We all were never anything. We all are shunya. Nothing we are. We are nothing. Someone created this big image of himself. Someone created this big. Someone created this big. Now, tapasya is done to become back to shunya. To realize you are nothing. That's it. So how many births you're going to waste for in the name of enlightenment, also created by mind, my dear angels. The keyword enlightenment created by mind so that you can get trapped in this world forever and ever and ever, chasing something that you already are. You are already enlightened, you're already moksha. Mind created this stupid thing so that you keep chasing it, so that he can stay existed in this world and enjoy the pleasures. That's it. Chasing spirituality on the side and eating good food, going out parties, doing this, doing that on the side. So it never loses its identity. This is all you need to understand. So even the letter of Vedas who follow are unwise. These are all flowery speeches made by people to attain pleasure and prosperity. Dhan sampatti, prosperity, pleasure. This body needs pleasure, comfort, love. It needs to be touched. It needs to be do like this. Someone do this to me. Someone do this to me. This body wants. And all you need to do is see it. And that is enough. Those whose minds are carried away by such flowery words, please listen. Talking about weak mind, this is Buddhi Yoga. Those whose minds are carried away by such flowery words cannot attain the determinate intellect concentrated in God. Those who get diverted from all of these things and get stuck in these flowery words, they never achieve Buddhi Yoga, never get Vivek.